All right, so we're going to be talking about the Xbox situation today because there's a new report out from Tom Warren over at The Verge that I will have a link to in the description box down below that paints a very interesting picture. Now, obviously Xbox is going through it. Phil Spencer retires? Question mark. Sarah Bond leaves on her own accord? Question mark. Matt Booty goes and gets promoted to Microsoft AI? Question mark. Asha Sharma from Microsoft AI is now the CEO of Xbox? Question mark. There's a lot of question marks going on with Xbox right now. It's like a Matthew Lesko jacket. He'll save you money and get you government grants if you buy his book. Remember that guy? Whatever happened to him? Is he still alive? I don't know. I feel like he was kind of old when he was on those infomercials back in the day. But this article from Tom Warren kind of has created public enemy number one. Now we have the scapegoat as to why Xbox is in the position that they are in, and evidently it's Sarah Bond. I want to go over the information in this article, some of the things that are presented, because I'm not saying that the article is necessarily wrong. But what I am saying is this is not a situation where one individual has the utmost pull within a company. Microsoft is a multi-billion dollar company, one of the biggest companies in the world. Xbox is a division of Microsoft. At the end of the day, there is a system of checks and balances. There is a hierarchy system of decisions being made. I highly doubt that there is one rogue individual that has enough power within Xbox to make a decision and get no pushback, no feedback, no sort of any sort of stance on it, whether or not it's good for the company or not. I'm sure that one individual was not making decisions that clearly weren't working, and nobody thought to themselves, well, we can't step in and do anything about that, even though at the head of the table, the top of the tree branch, you have Satya Nadella. So let's go over this stuff. One of the things was that Sarah Bond was hard to work with. It was a very my way or the highway. If you don't see the vision or question the vision, you were out. In regards to who or what? Like that's kind of a very vague statement. What does that mean? Does that mean with game direction, game development, the Xbox brand, the focus on play anywhere, the focus on, everything is an Xbox, the focus on Game Pass? What is this in regards to? When you're kind of doing a report like this, I do feel like some of the information, especially when you're claiming that people were unhappy, and I'm sure there are people that were unhappy working with Sarah Bond. No boss has a 100% happiness meter when it comes to their employees. People have bad days. People get pissed off. But I feel like this is such a vague statement. It's such a kind of a weird thing to say that a lot of people are harking on. Oh, well, she was tough to work with, and if you didn't follow the vision or questioned it, you were out. Who created the vision? Was Sarah Bond the first CEO of Xbox? Because I'm pretty sure that she pretty much inherited what Phil Spencer and previous regimes had done previously, and carrying that on, carrying that forward, those ideas, those principles, those sorts of things that don't really have anything to do with her tenure there. It's not like she came up with Game Pass. It's not like she came up with Play Anywhere. These ideas were instilled from before she was, in her position at the company. So why are we now blaming her as like the sole reason for this? Is it because she's the only one that hasn't, kept a thing within Xbox? You can't blame Phil Spencer. He retired. We got to be nice to him. You can't blame Matt Booty. You can't blame Booty Man. He's over at AI. He still works for us. But the person who just left, the person who just decided it was time to leave in a very interesting manner, by the way, 3 of those 4 people got press emails that were sent out by Xbox. Sarah had to do it over on LinkedIn. Something doesn't pass the smell test with me on here. Something doesn't make sense. She's also been given the moniker as being the one that came up with the "This is an Xbox" campaign, a campaign that I hated, even though all these jackass, creators and influencers within the video game sphere tried to tell me how great it was. Clearly, nobody liked that. Nobody thought it was a good idea. Nobody thought that it was a great sort of thing, and people started to question it. The Verge claimed that Bond strategies had been failing internally and been questioned multiple times. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm pretty sure that there's someone named okay, you took a swing and you missed with This Is an Xbox. Let's say that was all her idea. Let's say that nobody pushed back on it. Nobody said, this kind of sucks. It kind of diminishes the brand. Let's say nobody did that. She was given full-on power to create a marketing campaign, a slogan with no sort of feedback or anything like that. Don't you think that when it didn't exactly light the world on fire, that people above her, Satya Nadella, would be like, hey, this ain't working, pal. Let's scrap that. Let's come up with something else. I don't think people fully understand. Once Xbox and Microsoft by extension did the purchase of Activision Blizzard, this kind of became Satya Nadella's thing. Because now you're spending, all of these billions of dollars on this company, and you're not seeing a rate of return. That's going to raise red flags. Like, why are we acting like this is a sole proprietor making their own decisions and all that sort of stuff? Now, there were people that allegedly did, prop her up and say they said she did a good job over at Xbox within this report and stuff like that. She did good jobs with inking deals and companies. She wasn't much of a gamer, so that was also mentioned. But by that logic, you gonna get mad at Asha Sharma, who's not much of a gamer, who's like, this really feels to me, it really feels, I don't want to say a hit piece, because I don't think that's completely fair. Sarah Bond is not a perfect person. She clearly made mistakes, just like Phil Spencer made mistakes, just like Satya Nadella made mistakes, just like Don Matrick made mistakes. Everyone at Xbox, everyone at every video game company has made mistakes before. There are disastrous games, disastrous consoles, disastrous ideas. It's fine, because really, you can't blame just one individual for the disastrous mistake. Because there is a system of checks and balances. There is a pecking order. There are different things that go through. Now, if people are not speaking up in fear of their jobs or in fear of, getting, demoralized and this, that, or the other, that goes into a whole nother situation. That's kind of the toxic positivity situation that we see, which we see time and time again, because people just go along with things. That's why games like Concord get greenlit. That's why games like Highguard get greenlit, because you have all these stupid ass influencers and people that have direct connections to the video game industry gassing up these projects and like, yeah, this is great, it's gonna be awesome. And we know that toxic positivity is just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than toxic negativity. Toxic negativity won't necessarily sink your company, but toxic positivity can sink your company and can sink your game. Because if people really truly like the game, they want to play the game, they'll be able to look through the toxic negativity. But if a game is bad and horrible and designed flaws all over the place, you get a Highguard situation, something that nobody asked for. But bringing this back to Xbox, like, I don't know, the timing, like the timing of it, like, Friday this is announced, Monday this report comes out. It's like, it doesn't pass the smell test for me. It doesn't. This is to think that like Sarah Bond was just like the Queen of Sheba, and overruling everything Xbox did with an iron fist, and nobody said anything to her. None of her peers, none of her contemporaries, nobody above her. It was all her decisions. It makes no sense. Even if This Is an Xbox was completely her idea, which evidently it was, Play Anywhere wasn't. And Play Anywhere was the precursor to This Is an Xbox, taking away the focus off of the console. That predates her tenure. So how is that her fault? Once again, she's just promoting and trying to come up with ideas, in my opinion at least, for things that were implemented before she was in her role, things that she inherited. And now I'm supposed to believe that Asha Sharma is just going to burn this all to the ground and bring Xbox back. Game Pass is going to go away. There's going to be exclusives and shit again. Xbox, you're peeing on my leg and you're telling me it's raining again. Not going to fall for it this time, pal. I don't know, though. Maybe Sarah Bond is, you know, the ultimate James Bond villain, and she was evil, and she ruined the company. I just don't really see it, though. I see her as a person that is now the scapegoat, that inherited a situation that was not ideal. And, yeah, maybe she didn't necessarily make it better, but what could you have really done without gutting the whole structure of how Xbox was already set up before her tenure? I mean, Phil Spencer's the one who kind of laid the groundwork for all this, but he's being given a champion's, you know, a hero's goodbye. Interesting. As Major Nelson would say, he's just running a company. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of this in the comments section down below. Do you think it's a fair assessment of what Sarah Bond did with Xbox? Do you think it's more of a bit of a hit piece unintentionally? Do you think it's an intentional hit piece? I mean, you know, the control of information comes from higher ups than us, and pictures are painted in the public eye for a very specific reason, especially if somebody has an NDA and they can't really retort the things that are being said about them in lieu of breaking that NDA. Bro, open your third eye, man. Open your third eye. And as always, hit subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.